Welcome to Everything You Need to Know About the Ascension of Humanity, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern science and spiritual evolution gets real. I'm Heather, an energy healer, channel, and spiritual coach with Divine Ascension Company. Each week, we're diving deep into the mysteries of human consciousness, spiritual awakening, and the profound transformation happening within us and around us. But here's the thing. We're not doing this with our heads in the clouds. We're bringing neuroscience, psychology, quantum physics, and cutting-edge research to the table alongside meditation, energy work, and timeless spiritual teachings. Because the truth is, the ascension of humanity isn't some far-off cosmic event. It's happening right now in the choices we make, the awareness we cultivate, and the healing we do within ourselves. Whether you're curious about how mindfulness literally rewires your brain, why shadow work is backed by depth psychology, or what coherence between your heart and mind actually means scientifically, you're in the right place. We'll explore practices like breathwork, meditation, and emotional alchemy, not as abstract concepts, but as tangible tools grounded in both spiritual wisdom and scientific understanding. And here's where it gets even better. In our bonus episodes, you'll hear from real people sharing real stories. These are the warriors, the healers, the everyday seekers who've walked through their own darkness and found their light. They'll share their breakthroughs, their struggles, and the resources that actually help them along the way. Because personal growth isn't a solo journey, and you deserve to know you're not alone. So whether you're just beginning to question the nature of reality, or you're deep in your spiritual practice, this podcast is your companion on the path. It's time to expand, to awaken, and to rise together. Let's begin. What if your body isn't something to transcend? It's something to come home to. What if pleasure isn't a distraction from your spiritual path? It's part of it. What if being a powerful woman means being fully, unapologetically embodied? Hey guys, welcome back. Today, we're reclaiming something that's been taken from women for centuries. The right to be in our bodies, to feel pleasure, to be intimate with ourselves, with others, with life itself, and without shame. My guest today is Daria. She's an intimacy coach who teaches women how to integrate the mind, body, and spirit through nervous system regulation, embodiment practices, and radical self-empowerment. She knows what it's like to be disconnected from your body, to go through the motions of intimacy while being completely numb inside, to believe that your body is something to control, manage, or transcend, rather than something to inhabit fully. And she knows what it takes to come back, to drop out of your head and into your body, to regulate your nervous system so that you can actually feel safe enough to experience pleasure, to reclaim your sexuality, your boundaries, your desires, all as your own, not as performance for someone else. This work is revolutionary because when women are embodied, empowered, and connected to their own pleasure, we change everything. If you've been living in your head, if you've been performing intimacy instead of experiencing it, if you've been told that being spiritual means denying the body, then this conversation is your permission slip to come home. How are you doing today?
Hi, so happy to be here.
Good. I'm super happy to have you. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Daria. I'm an embodiment and intimacy coach. And I'm also a very spiritual being, which is why I'm excited to be here to share my journey with whoever's listening, just in case it resonates and brings some insights or any aha moments. But yeah, a bit about like my background in general. I'm actually from a psychology background. So I spent my time working the sort of, like the given route of kind of like what you're meant to do. So like, going down the psychology route, then going into mental health work, working in the systems. And after years of doing that, I realized that for me, there was a huge part missing in terms of healing and in terms of connecting with people and going through my own big breakdown is actually what led me into where I am now and into all these like awakening moments that I've been having. So it's kind of like, you know, how they say like the breakdown becomes the breakthrough, if you like. Um, yeah, so on that path, I rediscovered the body and the importance of healing by connecting with all parts of self. So to me, this is key in terms of what I do and what I speak about. It's bringing all of it together, the body, the mind, and the soul, kind of like to work together as one system. And I'm very passionate about speaking about that wholeness. Um, yeah, and recently I've kind of gone down on this path of specifically working with women who are having issues around intimacy and really helping them reconnect back with their body. So kind of coming home to themselves and finding pleasure, right? And desire, because those energies are also life force energies. So by reigniting that, it's almost like we reignite the spark for aliveness. Like we're fully able to embody the human experience, as I like to call it. So yeah, that's about a bit about me and kind of my journey. And yeah, I'm excited to delve into our conversations today.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I agree with you with how important it is for having that connection with, you know, the mind, body, spirit, because so many parts make up the whole of the human essence. And I think people have a tendency to focus on one thing instead of all of it. And it can certainly cause a lot of issues, especially with intimacy and feeling safe. And, you know, I also have a background in psychology, so it's really special for me to be talking with you today because of, you know, how much I can relate to your experience. But also, I think it's interesting how much psychology and even quantum science and things like that actually intertwine with spirituality. And I think part of my plan with this podcast is to kind of give people that shift in perspective to show that like this is real and there is science to back it up. So yeah, I'm super excited for you to be here.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot more in terms of science, like there's a lot more being done in those areas to actually look into the science behind the quantum and everything, as you say. So it's definitely like an expanding, exciting area of research. But you know, it's one of those things where I guess part of being here and having the human experience is the magical sense of like not knowing everything, right? It's kind of like we might get closer to knowing something, but yet we're so far away from knowing everything. And that's kind of like the beauty of it. It's like for me anyway, I find the more I seek like the truth, the less I also know, but that's okay. It's kind of like it's a paradox of existing, right? There's always like the two parallels that are there. It's kind of like embracing that and being okay being in between the two, or just being okay in the unknown. And also being able to sort of interpret it for yourself as you like. Like I'm a true believer of you know, like if you really believe in something enough, then that becomes your reality. But like to step into that sort of power over your reality, you also have to first be able to let go of the control. So again, it's like a paradox. It's like to step into one, you have to also do the opposite. So again, it's like this balancing act of both.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That was one of the hardest things for me, I think, and for a lot of people, because as humans, we want to control everything. We want to know all the answers. We want to know what we're getting into. We want to have, you know, manage expectations. But part of this whole process is going through that surrender and being okay with not knowing. But I mean, like you said, like that's part of the fun, because you can be in that balance, in that in between space between knowing and not knowing, and it gives you so much more power, even though it doesn't seem that way, because you can truly, I mean, there's limitless possibilities, right? Like you can focus on whatever you want and just kind of go from there, and it's kind of just one big adventure at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it so much fun. And I think for me anyway, in my journey, the key here has been learning that I actually have capacity and ability to handle whatever comes my way. So for me, the big part of, again, why I bring in like the body and the importance of the whole system work is like the more I found that I was able to like regulate my nervous system and I was able to be present with whatever's coming up for me, the more capacity I built to experience life to the fullest without it overwhelming you, right? So it's kind of like that sense of no matter what happens and no matter how it unfolds, it almost becomes like this fun game. And sure, like there are moments where, you know, there are really challenging emotions and scenarios and those are difficult, but it's kind of like building the capacity to hold space for that and knowing that no matter what, you will be okay and that it's part of it is what really has made life like more enjoyable and like being able to live it to the full and stepping into that control, stepping into that power of being that like your own leader of life, right? Rather than letting life overtake you or overwhelm you.
Right. I later, life is happening for you, not to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Stepping into that role. And yeah, again, if I say like for me, the huge part has been working with that sense of like expanding my own capacity to actually feel and to experience all sorts of emotions, including the really intense ones, because now I come from a point where it's like, I'm not scared to feel those downs, right? Because like we are always going through these waves of like up and down, and like maybe in one day we can even experience so much. And like now it's okay. And now I honor all of the experience because it's like, okay, well, that's what I'm here for. As a human, I'm here to experience all of it. And I know and trust myself that I can and that I will come out of it and things will unfold exactly as they're meant. And that's what's made it almost like empowering, right? It's like claiming back your life. To me, this is the essence of it.
Absolutely. And going through that period of surrender where like you trust the universe and you know the universe has your back and that nothing truly bad can happen to you, that all of these, you know, downs, if you want to call them that, are just learning experiences for you to kind of grow and have faith in yourself and trust that you can go through these things. And I always say like you have to have the down times to truly appreciate the up times as well. So it gives you that everything is a balance, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's like the more we step into seeing it as a balance and seeing it as part of the experience, the more it becomes okay. Again, it's like no matter what comes your way, even like the really, really difficult moments, like you said, if you frame it in a way of like, well, what is this teaching me? Even though in that moment it might be extremely hard. And, you know, maybe in that moment, sure, like you need to attend to whatever's going on for you and deal with the situation. But then take the time to reflect afterwards to say, okay, well, what did this teach me? Or what did this show about me? Or what can I take away from this of how it's made me stronger or what it's showed me or what I still need to work on, right? Like there's always a way of flipping something and it's all about, again, how you look at things.
Absolutely. That's super important. So what made you decide to get into intimacy as your like focus?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, this has just been so close to my heart for a very long time, and it's something I've personally also gone through on my own journey with and struggled. Like I have a history of trauma, and like I won't go into it, but it's a topic that's really close to my heart, and it's something that I've always thought, oh, maybe this should be my direction, but those inner parts of me were too scared to stand in that vulnerability. Like there was parts of me that thought, oh my gosh, like, but if I go into this direction, what are people going to think of me, especially from family, right? Like I come from a quite like a strict culture of family where like you just don't talk about those things. It's just seen as something that is maybe less professional or it just has a certain image about you. And so I had all these things in me where it was almost like I had to shed a lot of my own layers, a lot of my own fears and a lot of beliefs from other people. And, you know, I had to work for a lot of my own generational trauma to get to a place where I was like, you know what, actually, like, this is my mission, this is my calling. And I'm now finally like standing up in my sort of in my voice, in my power, and claiming that no matter what my family's going to say or what other people think of me. And that took time, it took time and a lot of inner work, a lot of inner healing to get to that place. So yeah, it was very recent. Like I went to spend time with my family actually for quite a few months over the summer. And this is where all these shifts kind of happened for me. Like it was a very challenging time for me. And yet in that challenging time, there was so much healing, so much processing, and so much undoing of what wasn't mine to hold anymore. And I came back and I was like, okay, I'm ready for this mission. And it's kind of like, since embracing it, it's just been sort of like, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but it's been like a fast forward, right? It's kind of like everything just falls into place. Because when something is meant and when you step into that aligned path, things do just come to you because the universe wants to help you, right? It wants to assist you, to co-create with you. And that's what I've been seeing a lot. And all those fears that I thought I'd have about, for example, making my first post on like intimacy, I thought I was going to feel like really horrible, all this. But as soon as I went to do it, I didn't even feel half the things I thought I was going to feel. So again, a lot of it is just us projecting of what the experience might look like for us, whereas the reality might be very different. It's like the actual just taking that action was so liberating in itself that I just felt completely free and completely myself. And like each time I do it, I reclaim my power more and more. So it's a really beautiful journey. It's like, I can help others in terms of helping them deal with similar situations of what I went through, but it's also like a reclamation for me as well, which just makes it doubly amazing and a beautiful journey to be on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I've noticed myself and with other people that I've talked to, how easily things, once you start to get into alignment and start to figure out what your path and your purpose is, and you actually start making the steps towards that, how easy things just fall into line for you. And people are so nervous and scared to step into unknown territory, to try something new. And it's like, just I hear so many success stories about, yeah, it might not be, like you said, might not be smooth sailing at first because you are starting something new, but so many, when you're open to these opportunities to come across your path and you're actually paying attention to them and you're on board 100%, all of these opportunities and open doors come into your field, and it's a beautiful thing. It's very empowering.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, it's being open to it, right? Like, I think we do miss opportunities a lot when we're in that state of like, overthinking, or we're closed off to experiencing life, or there's so much fear. It's like things might be knocking at our door, but we're just not seeing them because of like our own perception. Like we literally like, we hyper focus on negative things, or we hyper focus on the reality that we want to see because that's the one that currently feels safest, even though it's actually the one keeping you stuck, which again is like a paradox in itself, right? It's like something can feel safe, whereas actually it's the thing that's causing you more damage than the other option, which feels unsafe, yet it's the one that is going to make you free, and it's the one that's going to be expansive. And that's again because down back to our bodies, right? It's like when we're so used to one certain reality, our nervous system perceives that as safety, even though we might just be surviving. So even though another reality might be so much more pleasant and like the full experience, we just instantly perceive that as unsafe because it's unknown, because it's something that we can't even comprehend of having to like put up with, right? Because we're so used to putting up with one thing and we know we can. Again, it's really about letting your body, your nervous system learn to adjust to the new and expanding your capacity to let in the new and the openness. It's like for me, when I first started this work with the body and the nervous system, actually having good, and I mean by good as in like expansive experiences, felt really overwhelming for me. So it was like, sure, I was overwhelmed by stress, but I knew how to deal with it. It was like such a like norm for me. I knew that, okay, I'm going to be reactive. This is going to happen, but I know that this is okay for me, right? I'm used to it. And actually feeling peace or joy or safety was so overwhelming for my body that I started to get all these sort of like symptoms as if it was the opposite, as if they were stressful, because my body was just, it was like, what is this foreign thing? I don't know how to feel this. So it was like actually learning to feel the good side. And again, I don't mean like good or negative, but I just mean the expansive side of the emotions.
Right.
Which, yeah, it's very interesting.
And it's funny because, you know, they say you can't push past your comfort zone without being uncomfortable. So it's again, trusting yourself and knowing that you'll get through it, but also retraining your nervous system and your brain, your neural pathways to recognize that you don't always have to be in survival mode. Like there is safety out there. And if you're fully committed and it's something that you're meant to do, and it's something that's going to bring you joy and passion and excitement, that you can feel safe. You just have to take that first step, and then everything else will fall into place, and you'll be able to retrain your body and your mind to fall in line with the spirit then, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like you say though, it's a commitment, right? It's really making that choice by yourself of like, I want to show up differently for myself, because it is a journey, and it is like everyone's system is different, right? It does take time, and it takes sort of like showing up for yourself day after day. So it's that consistency of like making the choice to show up for yourself and do that healing work and try and, expand your capacity. And yeah, maybe it's not for everyone, right? It's a big thing. Like, and all of us, unfortunately, these days want like a really quick fix, or want like a magic solution to an issue. But the real work here and the real healing is going deep, and going deep can take time, because we are so like, there's so much to us. There's so much to explore. It's like a beautiful ocean, and that's not a quick fix. But that, to me, again, that's the beauty of it, right? And this is what I try and like tell people as well. It's the beauty of being on that journey. So it's kind of like the ultimate goal actually isn't even so important, because it's about exploring the depth. And that's the fun part, really. Once you start to see it that way, once you start to see the healing and self-exploration as something that is sacred to you and connects you to everything, right? To the consciousness and to the human side of you as well, then that's the important part. So I feel like, to me, this is why I try and like really express to people in terms of when they, when they're in between making that commitment or not, to step out of that like autopilot mode and really start to go into the healing work. I try to point out the fact that the healing work itself, yes, sure, it can be intense, but it's also a beautiful journey of self-discovery, which I believe is, everyone should really be on, if that's what they choose for themselves.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And having a final destination, if you will, is great. And I know for me personally that has looked many different ways, has changed so many different times, but it's also very much about the journey on how you get there, and the little wins and the little steps you take, and the feelings and the emotions and the just baby steps that you go through to get there, because it's so fulfilling and satisfying, and it gives you a clear picture of what that end destination might look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like from the get-go, it's really about talking about presence, right? Really about saying to people that it's about enjoying every single step. And like you say, like it's great to have a vision, and that might shift and change too. It's good to have that like kind of overall idea of where you're heading, but it's about being in the present moment, because that's the only way we live, is now. Like, a lot of us are constantly living either in the past or in the future, and I'm sure this is mentioned a lot, but it's like when you really realize that you really are only living second to second, like in the present, that's what it's like. If you can come back to that more and more and really appreciate that, you really start to live differently. You start to live embodied, right? You start to really have the full human experience, where you can be moment to moment within your senses, having the full influx of emotions, feelings, sensations, sounds, tastes, like all of it. And again, that's something that does take time sort of get to, because even that experience in itself can actually be quite overwhelming, because it is so expansive and intense that it's kind of like you also have to build up from, from not doing that at all. You gradually build up to having those states more and more. And those are really beautiful connected states where it's like you can feel both the human experience and yet the expansiveness of consciousness and everything at the same time. And again, it's like this paradox, right? You can feel both yourself as in the human self and the whole consciousness in one go. And to hold space for both is just an absolutely beautiful experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I've created some different programs and stuff on my coaching site, and the first two steps are mindfulness and gratitude, because it's so important to realize that the present moment is where all of your power is. This is where you make all of your decisions, where you show up for yourself, where you consciously set intentions for your actions and your thoughts and your behaviors. And so being self-aware and being alive in that present moment and paying attention to your environment, finding the beauty in mundane things, or just the flowers or whatever it is that brings you joy, but being able to find that beauty in, these experiences that you're having, whether they're perceived to be positive or negative, but being fully in that present moment to make the decisions, to decide who you want to be, how you want to react to situations. Like, that's where your power lies. That's where you create your reality. That's where you really show yourself who you are. It's not in the past. That's in the rearview mirror. That's already happened. Like, we're moving forward. You don't have to let the past dictate who you are. And the future, like I said, that can always change. Like, it's all probabilities. It's all about the decisions that you make now that are going to affect the future. So that's where the power really is in that present moment.
Yeah, for sure. And, talking about the constant changing of futures, like, yeah, I mean, I've definitely experienced that. It's like even how I envision the future keeps shifting, and what I want keeps shifting. And it's kind of like, that's okay. It's okay, because I know, like, the more I do its inner work and the more I am present, the more I just keep morphing and shifting into whatever is most aligned in that moment. And it's kind of like, again, that just, there's so much fun in that, right? It's kind of like, you might envision one thing and then you realize, okay, actually maybe a different direction is better. And it's just like this way of exploring life and picking whatever feels most expansive for you in that moment, in that year, in that few years, whatever it is. And it's the, again, capacity to be with the unknown, capacity to be with the fact that you might choose to walk through one door, but you might choose to then leave again because you realize it's not for you, right? This is where people mainly get stuck, is they're like, they've committed to one outcome and one vision, but then they walk in that room and it's not quite right for them, but they're so scared to leave because of like the perception that they wanted it for so long. They hold on to it so for dear life, right? Whereas being with that sense of it's okay to let those things go too and to look for something even better, that's the magical part. It's, again, the surrender, right? Coming back to the beginning of the conversation, it's the letting go of what isn't aligned anymore. And I mean, we change from moment to moment too, so things are aligned one moment and then they're not the next day. People, situations, places, all of these things may shift and change, and it's knowing that and trusting yourself that you can make the best decision for you in the present moment at any time.
And one thing that I've learned through my spiritual journey is that expectations kind of hinder you sometimes. So when you're like, okay, I really want this to happen, I want it to look this way, 9.5 times out of 10, it's not going to look that way. You're still going to get the essence of what you want, but it's your expectations are never exactly how the reality turns out to be. And it's usually always something way better. So you have to kind of leave some of those expectations behind and be open and willing to accept something even better than you could possibly even imagine, because that's typically how I've found that the universe kind of works in your favor.
For sure. You know what? I always try and use this example here when talking about that. It's kind of like, looking to watch a film. So it's like you pick a film off. This is kind of like your destination, right? You're picking a film and you're like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. But like you don't want to know exactly how the film goes or how it ends or how it unfolds. Like you might have an overall idea of what you're looking for, but it's kind of like how you get to that ending. It needs to be a journey for you to sit there and really be surprised by the film or the outcome, right? And this unfolding path. So that's kind of how I always try and look at it. For me, it's like it's even more fun that way. It's kind of like, sure, I have the general thing, but I let go of completely of how I'm getting there because it just makes it so much more interesting.
Right.
So more fun.
How boring would it be if we knew all of the endings and how everything unfolds? Like, what would be the point, right?
Right, yeah. And it's like if you knew the exact NICUs or the details or like, the turning points, it wouldn't be so fun.
Right.
You would be rewatching the same film on repeat. And sure, like, there might be comfort in that. But then again, it's kind of if you're getting comfort in that, then maybe you're not expanding, right? Maybe again, you're staying in your safe zone. And sometimes it's good to be in the safe zone. Sometimes we all love to rewatch a little, films that we've found dear to our part. But it's again a balancing act between that and then being open to watching something completely new and to be surprised and to be expanded and your mind shifted and all those things. So yeah, again, it's really a balance of the two.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about your healing, like the services that you offer for people, and kind of a little bit about your process.
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm really looking to guide women through a one-to-one process. So it's very much delving into their current situation that they might be having with intimacy and what's going on for them, really trying to get a clear picture and to see how we can help them in terms of nervous system healing. So, at first when we start this journey, sometimes it's good to also get some support from outside. So not just within our own system, but from the environment we're in as well, right? Because maybe we're currently in an environment where things are quite overwhelming. So it's good to get some extra support by looking at sleep, at nutrition, at exercise, at all these things that could be supported whilst you're also starting to do that inner work on that inner journey. And then it's really going into the body. So it's really doing the somatic experiencing and practices through movement and starting to really tune in to see what needs to be and starting to really tune in to see what needs to be released. So a lot of what I do with sessions, it's very much guided, of course, by the client and what they need. And it's tuning into their body and releasing that through the body. It's like they say, right? Like the body keeps the score. So it's like the body knows exactly what needs to be released, exactly where there's those traumas or stresses that are still stuck in the system. And there's a way of really beautifully letting that cycle complete so that it's no longer held in the body. And it's also all about, as I've spoken throughout the conversation, it's really about building the capacity to experience emotions, feelings, sensations. And this plays into intimacy a lot, right? There's a lot of like, once you start to feel safer to go into your body, you start to open up to actually having potentially more sensations or having more expansive experiences and being more open to things that maybe you weren't before. So it's really about bringing in that safety, that groundedness, and upon that, building the capacity to be with what's going on and also building the capacity to have boundaries, right? To actually speak about the experiences to whoever it's also concerning. So most likely your partner or whoever you're trying to, be intimate with. And then the next phase is really like claiming back the pleasure, the desire, really unlocking that once the healing kind of gets going and once you release what no longer needs to be there. It's really reclaiming that power and the pleasure. And from that, honestly, like you also reclaim pleasure in life in general, which is why I love this work. So yeah, at the moment I'm doing a one-to-one session. So I've called it body and pleasure therapy. So yeah, the idea is to support women on this journey so they can really release what no longer needs to be there so that the past is no longer their prisoner, right? So they can step into their power fully and reclaim pleasure and connection with themselves and their partner.
Awesome. And if someone was interested in utilizing these services, how would they find you?
Yeah, so again, I'm actually going to be doing a new website and account, but at the moment it's an at Enlightened Soul Tribe. That's my Instagram, and my website as well, enlightenedsoultribe.com is the best way. So I'll still keep that up as well, even though I am going to be migrating to a new space.
Awesome. So I have one last question for you before we go. Throughout this journey and helping other people, is there one thing that seems to be the most common piece of advice that you've given to these women, or one thing that you want all women to know, some kind of words of wisdom that might help them either realize they need to take this journey or help them start, looking within and realizing that this is important?
I guess the piece of advice would be it's to reflect of what's going on for you now, right? It's like if you're in a place in your life where things just feel off. And you'll know that on many, many levels. It's not just a mental off, it's maybe your body also showing you that there's something off. Maybe there's constant physical symptoms like unexplained pains, constant infections, or fatigue, or you're constantly ill. So then you kind of have a reason to not engage in intimacy or something like that, right? It's like if you know that things are unfolding in a way where you're not happy with it that way anymore, and you want to really take back the power and to say, you know what, I want to reclaim my pleasure. I want to connect primarily with myself, and then of course the connection with others comes as well. Then go on the journey of self-discovery. Now, whether that's with me or someone else, like explore the options that are there for you that are best going to suit you and are best going to support you. But it's like if you remotely feel that there's just something not right and there's just constantly this overwhelm, stress, tension, and you want more for yourself, go and get more for yourself. Like we all deserve everything. We deserve the world. And every single one of us needs to go and get it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you for having me, having this beautiful space for these conversations. I think it's so important, the more voices that speak out about their experiences and their views, the more it just brings that expansiveness into the collective. So thank you so much as well for holding space for these conversations.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. All right. Well, thank you again for being here. And hopefully maybe one day we will be able to talk again soon.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much.